Hello and welcome to a recorded tutorial on statewide business services and adult education. I'm Heidi Silver-Paquilla, Adult Ed Coordinator at Virginia Department of Education, and I'm joined by my colleague Brett.
Hi, I'm Brett Tavel. I'm with the Virginia Community College Systems Office, and I'm with the Rapid Response in the Business Services Program.
All right, thanks for joining me, Brett, for this presentation. This is going to help adult education programs report business services. As you know, the Workforce Opportunity and Innovation Act, or WIOA, emphasizes that workforce development partners cooperate to meet the job seeker and employer needs in their states. The Combined State Plan is the strategic roadmap of how the partners will work together. For Virginia, one of the key elements of the Combined State Plan's vision is that every business has access to a qualified, job-ready workforce, and every Virginian has the skills needed to connect with meaningful employment and advance in a career. This vision drives policies and actions enacted by the state agencies. Specifically for this topic, serving businesses, state agencies are guided by the Virginia Board of Workforce Development Policy Number 40301, which provides the manner in which agencies and their subgrantees coordinate business services, common definitions for agencies to use, and reporting requirements and mechanisms. So, Brett, can you give us an overview of how the information about serving businesses is collected and reported in Virginia, and what kind of data do you have to report for program year 3?
Thank you, Heidi. So our business services data here in Virginia is collected on a quarterly basis utilizing a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet is very basic and pretty self-intuitive, but we have some instructions on the first tab for you to look at if you have any questions. If you do have any questions that can't be solved based on what you see in the instructions, please feel free to reach out to Heidi, and she'll reach out to me and we can make sure that we answer your questions in a timely manner. In program year 2018, Virginia's workforce development programs served approximately 23,924 businesses. Across those 23,924 businesses, we delivered 27,892 distinct types of services. Some of these businesses may have received that same service twice, but we only count a service once. So for instance, if I serve a company with recruitment services multiple times during the year, I only count that service once. This just helps us understand what type of services we're delivering on a regular basis. When we look at the number of total businesses in the Commonwealth, it was 270,687 during the last program year. When we take a look at how deep we penetrated into our job market and our business community here in Virginia for this past year, it was approximately 8.8% of the businesses in the Commonwealth. In program year 2018, the top type of services that were delivered were workforce recruitment services, employer information and support services, and registered apprenticeship. Unfortunately, we had a lot of blank entries for this past program year, which makes it hard for us to understand how well we serve businesses using these different types of services. So moving on for our next program year, please be diligent in ensuring that you are able to put a service down to every business that you serve so that we can track it appropriately. One of the things that we track on our business services report is the size of the business that we serve. We only look at businesses that are over 250 workers and under 250 workers. During this past year, based on the data we were able to collect, we served mostly smaller businesses, those with less than 250 employees, close to around 16,727 businesses. In terms of those businesses over 250 employees, we served 5,841 in the Commonwealth this previous program year. In program year 2018, we served a variety of different businesses in the Commonwealth. The top 3 were manufacturing, healthcare and social assistance, and professional, scientific, and technical services. This is consistent with what we saw last year with our business services reporting. When we look at the services delivered by partner program, we see that VEC's Wagner-Pizer has the most, mainly because of the job order system that they run with helping employers recruit businesses and connect job seekers to each other. WIOA Title I follows up closely behind, followed then by the Department of Labor and Industry. Remember, this is not a race. We are looking all to work together to make sure that we serve our Commonwealth's employers the best that we can and work together to provide them the best level of services possible.
Thank you, Brett. It's so interesting to see that the workforce development partners are mainly serving small to moderate businesses. I guess it's less surprising to see that the main service is recruitment, since that's what we think of as the role of the Virginia Career Work Centers, to match workers to open positions. And of course, it's good to know it's not a race. Last year was adult education's first year with this reporting. We know that adult education programs running integrated education and training cohorts are working directly with employers. It's part of the model of the IET design to respond to local workforce development needs and prepare adults for available positions within career pathways. VDOE is funding IET programs in multiple ways. Of course, Plugged In Virginia is a successful state-funded IET model that has been offered around the state for many years, offering contextualized academics and occupational skill training and credentialing. Now, with the allowability of occupational training under the WIOA funding, we see federally funded IET programs in integrated English literacy and civics education programs, abbreviated here as IELCE, serving non-native English speakers, and then in the local activities with students in adult basic or adult secondary education programs. And we've seen some interesting IETs running in the correctional and institutional programs, abbreviated here as CNI. Some of the direct engagement with employers that we've seen already underway in these IETs are the involvement of employer partners in the design and recruitment phase, in career fairs and reverse career fairs as the cohorts near completion of their training and credentialing, and in the requirement in the IELCE program that the adult education provider work to place students in employment. Similar to the slide you shared, Brett, of the industries in which the workforce partners are serving businesses, we can see on this slide that IET programming is being offered in areas such as retail, education, transportation and warehousing, manufacturing, healthcare, and accommodations, and food services. The service of workforce recruitment services was the most common service reported last year, and we have seen that this category of service is the most common engagement adult education programs have with employers in the context of their IET activities. The definition is quite inclusive. It's here on your screen. It includes supporting employers' search for qualified candidates, promoting job openings, and organizing, conducting, and participating in job fairs and screening and interviewing events. There are other services defined in the guidance, so do look over those to determine if you may be providing those services as well. In order to report the size of the business, you may know this from your work in the community or direct conversations with your employer partners, but you can also look this up at the Labor Market Information Database at the link provided. It's also important to emphasize that the report collects each establishment served and will ask for a street address of the business. For example, if you're working with two particular CVS pharmacies in your community to fill open pharmacy tech positions with your IET graduates, those two establishments count as two separate businesses. But let me ask you a question, Brett. What are some examples? If I have a student that got a job at an auto parts store, is that an automotive job or is that a retail job?
Great question, Heidi. That would be a retail job. We are mostly interested in the style of business that the business is engaging in. So in that case, even though they are selling auto parts, they're not really a mechanic shop. They're a retail location that you could buy auto materials at. So they would fall under the retail category.
Okay, here's another one. So if an adult education program disseminates job openings for the school division in which they work, right? They need cafeteria workers, janitors, paraprofessionals, all sorts of different jobs in the schools. How do I do that? Those are different jobs.
So what we are interested in, again, is what the main business is doing. So if it was a school district, you would be looking at the education NAICS code. When you're talking about individual professions within a school, such as a teacher or a janitor or a cafeteria person, those are our standard occupational codes, or SOC. So again, we're looking at what the overall business's goal is.
Okay, so the business and not the job the person gets.
Correct.
All right, thanks. That's going to be helpful. This slide gives you a snapshot of the Excel spreadsheet that Brett mentioned. You'll use this to report your business services quarterly to the Adult Education State Office. Again, the report focuses only on these 3 elements per business served: the industry of the business, the services provided, and the size of the business. State-funded Plugged-in Virginia and the federally funded IET programs will be collected and reported separately. In the same spreadsheet, just separate those into 2 separate chunks. The report is compiled quarterly for the State Workforce Development Board. Adult education programs reports are due to VDOE no later than the 10th of each month following the end of the quarter, so that we can compile the data for a single submission to Brett's team. We're proud of the work that you are doing to advance workforce development in Virginia. You are helping Virginians get on the path to family-sustaining and meaningful careers and helping our community businesses thrive. So thanks for the work you're doing every day. Our contact information is here, and we'd be happy to hear from you or answer any of your questions.
Thank you all for participating today, and make sure to ask any questions that do come up as you go through this process.